News Hour, live on GBC News and News and Governance channel. My name is Micheline Taka. We are also live on GTV and streaming live on YouTube and Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. You're most welcome. The Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, says the need to extract water from the ground for domestic agricultural energy and other productive uses have grown over the last 2 decades. Existing knowledge and new ideas are therefore needed to strengthen the capacity of key stakeholders in the exploration of groundwater and to help address drought, especially in the northern part of the country. These were the highlights of a training program in Accra for drillers and drilling companies.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 6 is geared towards ensuring universal access to safe water and sanitation, but the world is still racing against time to meet this goal as demand for water in certain parts of the world grows above availability, and man's survival is threatened by climate change and its effects such as drought. This and other factors caused the CSIR and its relevant stakeholders to organize a training workshop for individual drillers and drilling companies on how best to extract groundwater for multiple uses aside domestic consumption. The Director for Environmental Quality of the Water Resources Commission, Madam Adwa Pentil, urged communities that lack access to potable water to opt for groundwater, which she said is relatively cheaper and easy to access.
Groundwater is invisible and we need technology to bring it to the fore. So as we celebrate this World Water Day, we want to make sure that groundwater is sustainably managed so that everybody everywhere can get enough water.
International Water Management Institute is a scientific research organization that provides innovative water solutions for sustainable climate-resilient development. Its West African country representative is Madam Olumfunke Kofi.
I also want to introduce you to the connection between water, energy, food, which somehow you also have to consider. It's not only just drawing the water, but how is the water connected to the energy? How is it connected to energy source? How is it connected to the food production beyond just drinking water?
The director of the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, Professor Mike Osei Atrebuana, stressed the need to utilize the existing knowledge and new ideas to exploit groundwater and help check drought in northern Ghana.
In the northern Ghana, they enjoy roughly about 4 to 5 months of regular rains, and after that most of the season is dry. So now this training is also relevant for them so that we'll be able to know what are the technologies that we need to explore, update their knowledge so that we'll be able to optimize the water that we have underground, explore them so that water will be available for us as a nation.
This year's World Water Day is slated for March 22. It is on the theme, Making the Invincible Visible.
With £7 million of funding, a 4.5-year research project to proffer solutions to pressing problems with water use and safety has ended in Accra. Recirculate identified different ways in which water sustains community, from sewage disposal to energy generation and water used in food production.
Sustainable Development Goal 6 is a universal target to achieve equitable access to safe and affordable water for all by 2030, among other goals. With its main focus on water and sanitation, Recirculate and its partners translated their research findings to meet the needs of communities across 12 countries. In Ghana, the success stories are from Madina Zungo and Dansuman Bigbeise in Accra.
We began from Water Journey 1. That is the point of water treatment, and then Water Journey 2 was the transmission lines. So we also needed to know the quality of the water at the transmission line just before it enters the communities involved. And along the line, we also instituted an intervention So we contacted Green Advocacy. They redesigned or realigned those pipelines. They reconstructed the drains, they built toilets, and they undertook a regular cleanup exercises in the area. They also emptied the toilets in the facilities in the area.
Drawn from 12 countries with over 500 participants and partnership with the Lancaster University, coupled with workshops, Recirculate was a vision shared across institutions.
The other big impact is what we've done to improve people's lives through the outcomes from the project. We've talked about educational elements in schools and universities. We've talked about developing safer sanitation within low-income communities. And we've talked about how we can bring energy to people who don't have access to electricity. And of course, helping to sustain agriculture in a positive way as well.
The project also hopes to reduce the prevalence of diarrhea among children under 5 years. It behoves the next generation to continue with the mantra of change. For GBC News, Shirley Annan reporting.
Latest report on the evacuation of Ghanaians from Ukraine indicates that a total of 226 have been brought home. The evacuees, mostly students, were offered psychosocial support by the Mental Health Authority upon arrival at the Kotoka International Airport. Most Ghanaians in Ukraine, including those under siege, have reportedly left to neighboring countries. The government, through its honorary consulate in Hungary, continues to monitor the situation and is redoubling efforts towards completing the evacuation of the remaining batch of the students and other Ghanaians there. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration knows with concern that, against the backdrop of the prevailing situation and notwithstanding the readiness of the government to airlift home our compatriots who have fled from the Ukrainian crisis, some of them are unwilling to return to Ghana. At the 2021 Annual Health Performance Review meeting of the new Juaben South Municipal Health Directorate, the red flag was raised at the increasing number of teenage pregnancies and teen abortions recorded in the municipality last year. This was triggered by alarming statistics which showed an increase in teen antenatal care from 295 in 2020 to 325 in 2021, with 516 teen deliveries and 175 teen abortion cases recorded last year.
The Health Performance Review meeting provided the platform for participants to assess healthcare delivery in the new Juaben South municipality, with emphasis on maternal health care, COVID-19 and the extended immunization program. The new Juaben South Municipal Director of Health, Dr. Edmond Ekolkeito, said 3 deaths from suspected yellow fever cases were recorded in the municipality last year. Touching on COVID-19, Dr. Keito said 17% of the targeted population in the municipality are fully vaccinated against the virus.
Considering the fact that women and children, Mr. Chair, are often the victims of such situations, we need to focus our healthcare attention on them and try to reach them.
Lamenting over the increased rate of teenage pregnancies and teenage abortions in the municipality, the acting municipal public health nurse, Ms. Dorcas Esiedu, called for intensified education on sexual and reproductive health.
If you are a chief or an opinion leader, what is your key role in curtailing this kind of issue? What can you also do? Do you tax your community members as to whoever to be responsible to whatever children you have, the number of children you have? Can you tax them to be responsible to them so that the basic needs can be provided for them? The young adolescent girls who need money for pad will not fall a victim or fall victim to a hungry man who also wants sex just for pleasure.
A new Juaben South Municipal Chief Executive, Mr. Isaac Apeljesi, assured the Health Directorate that rehabilitation works will soon be carried out on some dilapidated health centers and CHIPS compounds in the municipality.
The Navrongo-Bolgatanga Catholic Diocesan Development Organization has issued a communique to government following what they say are gaps they have identified from participatory monitoring. They say this is affecting the delivery of quality education and health delivery in the Upper East and Northeast regions. The diocese is implementing an advocacy component of a broader education and health project to improve access to health and education in the two regions.
This project, funded by the Hungary Helps program, covers about 11 health facilities of the church and 13 Catholic schools within the Upper East and Northeast regions. Using the social accountability mechanisms, the project team used participatory tools to assess selected performance indicators on education and health in the advocacy program. The school management committees and community health committees collected data from selected schools and health facilities which were validated at a stakeholders forum. The Human Development Coordinator of the Catholic Diocese of Navrongo-Bolgatanga, Dr. Joseph Ayambela, called for government's immediate intervention in specific areas.
Government must commit to the contractual agreement of 3 months reimbursement period of the National Health Insurance to ensure regular reimbursement of the fund claims to provide effective and efficient quality health care, especially in the rural health facilities.
On education, Dr. Ayambela called on the Education Minister to redeem his mandate of supplying adequate logistics to schools in the two regions for effective teaching and learning.
On inadequate and timely supply of logistics, we urge the Minister of Education, as a follow-up of his promise, the provisioning of such logistics.
Participants at the stakeholders forum, who pleaded to speak on condition of anonymity, said the education sector is taking a dent due to the non-payment of capitation grant, unavailability of furniture and various teaching and learning materials. Some of them said non-payment of national health insurance claims is badly affecting expansion of infrastructure and purchase of medicinal products.
The Ghana Private Road Transport Union GPRT will soon begin talks with government for an upward adjustment in transport fares following recent hikes in the cost of fuel. Although the union increased transport fares by 15% barely a month ago, it says another increment is imminent following the astronomical rise in the prices of fuel at the pumps. We have on the line the head of communications at the GPRTU, Mr. Abbas Imoro. Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Thanks so much for making time for us. How strong is your resolve to increase fares?
Yes, at our last fare increment, we came out with a press release. And if you look at the second paragraph, you see that we remind stakeholders that we have a standing issue of 10% threshold. That should the fuel price swell up to about 10%, we have to sit and change the face value of the lorry fares, meaning an upward adjustment. During the last increment, fuel price was about 7.990, almost 8 cedis. We came out and said if it gets to 8.8, meaning if 8 cedis, 10% will be 8.8, we have to adjust our lorry fares. Hence, today it's above 10%. So we normally have to change the lorry fares. You remember later part in last year, we suggested to government that some of the taxes should be scrapped out to reduce the fuel price so that we will live happily without even increasing the lorry fares. But there was no result to that. Today, National Petroleum Authority has also come out with the same solution. And the whole thing is like illiterates were doing work and they call that work watchman work. Today, some dropouts and some graduates are doing the same work And the name of the same work is security. So if we have spoken, government is not listening to us. Let's imagine ours was the watchman work. And today, National Petroleum Authority has spoken. So that is security. We are waiting for these 2 days and see if government will heed to that. If not, then from Monday upwards, we'll look at the fastest way to come out with the current lorry phase, of which we have written to the transport industry suggesting 15%.
What did you say? What percentage of increment are we looking at? I didn't get the last bit well.
Come again.
What percentage of increment are you looking at?
Well, we are looking for around 15%.
What went into determining this rate of increment, the 15%?
Come again.
What went into this rate that you have just given?
Fuel plays a major role in our transport industry. And we have to look at the spare parts, other components, if that has also changed significantly. If not, that is why we peg on the 15%.
Have you met or engaged your sector ministry over this issue?
We have written requesting him to arrange a meeting on Monday, that is 21st March.
So all things being equal, if the demands you are not making are adhered to, you are going to start the collection of the new fares when?
Anytime next week we have to. I want to meet with the ministry. You know, in the transport industry, we just can't come up with a price, then we ask our people to go with it. We always want to be law-abiding. We want to make sure we sympathize with our clients and work happily with them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abbas Imoro. Mr. Abbas Imoro is the head of communications at GPRTU, and he says that considering all the factors now, there's going to be an increase of 15% by next week of transport fares. Moving on in other stories, a sole inquirer to look into the Embassy of Bulgaria demolition and redevelopment case has been commissioned. A retired justice of the High Court, Justice Christianto Furiata, is to conduct an impartial inquiry into the reported encroachment and further inquiry into the nature of interest in any land held or occupied by diplomatic missions in Ghana. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapo, commissioned the retired justice in Accra.
It has therefore become necessary to commission a full investigation into the circumstances leading to the alleged demolition and the development of the property by a private developer to enable me, as the minister responsible for lands, to take the appropriate consequential actions. Accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, I have appointed a highly reputed retired justice of the High Court with vast experience in adjudication of land disputes, Justice Kwesi Anto Oforiata, as a sole inquirer to inquire into the circumstances leading to the alleged demolition and development of the property at the Bulgarian embassy. His terms of reference are to 1. Undertake a full and impartial inquiry into the alleged encroachment and or demolition of the property on the land being used at the Bulgarian embassy. 2. Make appropriate recommendations relating to the land being used as the Bulgarian embassy. 3. Inquire into the nature of interest in any land held or occupied by diplomatic missions in Ghana. 4. Inquire into any matter relating to land in which diplomatic missions in Ghana have interests whatsoever. And 5. Make recommendations to government. Due to the urgency of the issue relating to the Bulgarian embassy, the sole inquirer has 7 days to present a report on terms of reference 1 and 2, and 1 month to present a report on terms of reference 3 to 5. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana and Bulgaria have long-standing relations that we will not allow this issue to mar.
2022 Alternative Dispute Resolution Week has been launched in Ho, the Volta Regional Capital. A justice of the Court of Appeal and judge in charge of the Alternative Dispute Resolution, Justice Irene Charity Labi, appealed to Ghanaians not to resort to only the court in resolving disputes, but choose ADR as an alternative.
Disputes Resolution ADR was instituted in 2005 as an intervention to ease pressure on the regular court system and create a platform for parties in a dispute to resolve their differences peacefully. Courts connected to ADR programs use mediation mainly for the resolution of cases. The ADR program has been extended to 131 courts across the country, with at least 5 mediators assigned to each. Launching this year's ADR week, a justice of the Court of Appeal and judge in charge of the ADR, Justice Irene Charity Labi, said justice administration in the country is often characterized by delays. She encourages Ghanaians to choose ADR because it is faster and less expensive.
The regular court system, being a right-based process, though it has its strengths, is characterized by factors that occasion delays and cost, thereby making access to justice most of the time very difficult. ADR has a lot of benefits that support quality justice in our justice delivery system in this country.
A supervising High Court judge, Justice George Bwedi, said the sustenance of ADR mechanism is critical in the promotion of quality, speed and efficiency in the country's court system. This year's ADR week is being celebrated under the theme, making our courts user-friendly through the use of ADR.
A 5-day training program to upgrade the knowledge of veterinary meat inspectors and meat handlers in the country is underway at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, in the Ashanti region. Speaking at the opening of the training, the provost of the university's College of Health Sciences, Professor Christian Ijare, hinted that the college would soon start running its new postgraduate programs in veterinary medicine to turn out more experts in the animal husbandry and meat value chain.
40 veterinary meat inspectors and meat handlers in the livestock and poultry value chain, selected from the 16 administrative regions of the country, are participating in the training. They will be taken through new techniques in tackling animal-originated diseases and safe ways of handling raw meat. The Dean of the School of Veterinary Medicine, Professor Emmanuel Emikpe, said the training is expected to build the capacity of both veterinary inspectors and meat handlers to ensure that the public is served wholesome and safe meat.
In these few days, we'll be looking critically at the laws, looking at what is expected of us. We'll be interacting with academicians, and also the people practicing in the area of meat inspection. Not that we know more than you, but we want to better the lot of what you know.
The country team leader of the FAO ECTAD, Dr. Garba Maina Ahmed, said the FAO is partnering other institutions in the country to organize training on detection and prevention of animal diseases.
We had some training for bushmeat actors, also focusing on zoonotic diseases and the fact that most of the diseases that move from animals to humans really have some wildlife origin. So it's also good to train people in terms of areas of bushmeat.
The Deputy Director of the Veterinary Services Department, Dr. Paul Puhul, commended the FAO for its assistance towards the training. He said, hitherto, the government had to send veterinary officers outside the country to be trained. The provost of the KNUST College of Health Sciences, Professor Christian Ajari, said the challenge would soon be offering new postgraduate programs in veterinary medicine to strengthen the work of the veterinary services.
The School of Veterinary Medicine has also introduced 8 programs, mostly postgraduate programs that some of you can take advantage of, and even graduate entry into the veterinary medicine program. That is the Doctor of Veterinary program, where you have a first degree, you can also enter come next academic year.
A 29-member governing board of the Tree Crop Development Authority has been tasked to rake in $2.5 billion in revenue per each of the 6 tree crops under its jurisdiction. When he inaugurated the newly constituted Tree Crop Development Authority, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Efriyi-Akoto, encouraged members to devise interventions to ensure 10% increase in production of each crop annually in order to achieve the desired target.
President Akufo-Addo on September 29, 2020, inaugurated the Tree Crops Development Authority, whose focus is the development of 6 tree crops and the consequential benefits to be accrued to the country. The authority will operate like Cocoa Board and put in place policies and programs to guide research, production, pricing and marketing of the 6 tree crops, namely mango, cashew, shea, oil palm and coffee. At the inauguration of the newly constituted governing board of the authority, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Mr. Owusu Efriyi-Akoto, said with the increasing climate change effect on agriculture, cashew remains the ideal crop to mitigate the desertification of the Sahel regions, and urged all actors to support the development of the cashew sector, adding that its economic benefit cannot be underestimated.
You are supposed in the next 8 to 10 years develop these 6 selected crops to the level where we will be earning as much foreign exchange as we do cocoa today. And that is a figure of $2.5 billion US.
The chairperson of the board, Mr. Stephen Setria-Bankwa, pledged his team's resolve to promote the development of tree crops other than cocoa with equal or even higher economic potential and increase their agricultural export earnings.
We have realized that if properly organized and managed, this tree crops project within a period of 5 years could start generating export revenue of between 5 billion and 10 billion a year.
Cashew, for example, is a leading non-traditional commodity in the country. According to the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, cashew nuts export in 2018 generated $338.21 billion for the country.
The chairman of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled, Mr. Michael Bedi, has observed that accidents involving motorcycle riders, popularly referred to as Okada, is becoming a worrisome phenomenon. This is because this daily occurrence does not only increase the number of persons with disabilities, but also increases the burden on government and other stakeholders who cater for their needs. Mr. Bedi said this during a donation by the Nsawama-Duadjiri Municipal Assembly to persons with disability within its jurisdiction in the Eastern region.
The District Assembly Common Fund Act 1993 stipulates that 2% of the fund is given to persons with disability to, among others, support their businesses. In fulfillment of this provision, the Nsawama-Duadjiri Municipal Assembly has distributed startup kits, among other items, to 800 persons with disability to facilitate their training and sustenance in income-generating activities. Presenting the items, the Municipal Chief Executive of Nsawama-Duadjiri, Mr. Isaac Juaben, indicated that persons with disability can equally play vital roles in society when they are well equipped. He added that due to past experiences where beneficiaries did not properly account for funds has led to a variation in the disbursement regime in recent times. Mr. Juaben said instead of cash being disbursed, the beneficiaries are rather given startup kits, commodities, and trained in income-generating ventures. The chairman of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled, Michael Bedi, lamented the daily accidents involving Okada riders, which has led to a sharp increase in amputations, a situation he said must be curtailed. He was grateful for the gesture and challenged members to justify the investment made in them by focusing on the tax ahead. Over 60,000 cedis worth of items were donated to the beneficiaries. These include deep freezers, laptop computers, catering services materials, bottled and sachet water equipment, and soft drinks.
A flag-raising ceremony in commemoration of the 52nd anniversary of the International Day of La Francophonie has taken place in Accra. A Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Mr. Thomas Imbomba, says Ghana does not only want her citizens to be adept in French, but also use it as a vehicle to enhance trade and investment among Francophone countries in Africa and beyond. With our story shortly, time to take a quick break. Be back shortly. Please do stay. Time to talk business. The cedi is now selling above 8 cedis to the dollar at some forex bureaus, depicting a loss of 1.45% to the dollar in the last 3 days. This, coupled with predictions of fuel prices crossing the 10 cedi per litre mark in the next few days, are some of the areas that would be up for discussion at the Crunch Cabinet meeting on the current state of the economy being held at Peduase. The meeting is also expected to discuss whether government should continue to push through with the e-levy bill or resort to the International Monetary Fund (IMF) in the face of the current fiscal hurdles. To further deliberate on this, we have on the line Mr. Emmanuel Dakwa, an economist. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Does this meeting have any semblance to that of Senchi held by the previous administration?
Thank you very much for having me. Of course, any time that we have economic crisis, government tries to convene meetings to discuss the way forward. And so I foresee that it's going to be in line with Senchi consensus, whereby government wants to have make some serious economic policy decisions.
What outcomes are you expecting from this meeting?
The first outcome I expect is for government to make some policy cuts in terms of some government flagship programs. But we should also know that it is going to come at a political cost. As I speak to you now, we are having some liquidity challenges. At the same time, government is not able to access international capital markets. And so I would expect government to be able to do some cutting on the expenditure side of the budget. Of course, it's going to come with some political cost, but at this stage of Ghana's economy, we'll have to do something about this liquidity challenges. Again, government will consider the option of going for an IMF bailout program, and government will have to fasten out sort of a homegrown policy if it is going to approach the International Monetary Fund. Government has consistently said that they are not going to go to the IMF, but maybe it could be a policy option, even as they meet at pediatrics to discuss how we can salvage the economy.
This meeting comes ahead of the MPC meeting next week to address current inflation pressures. What do you make of it?
I foresee that for the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the monetary policy rate will be increased at least 100 basis points from the current 14.5%, because one of the key indicators that the Bank of Ghana considers in fixing the monetary policy rate is the inflation rate. As I speak to you now, inflation rate has increased to about 15.7%. And so to catch up, the government monetary policy committee would have to look at increasing the monetary policy rate from about 14.5 to maybe 16.5. That is my prediction going forward into Monday.
The meeting is seeking to give finality to, excuse me, the meeting is seeking to give finality to going for an IMF bailout or pushing for the e-levy. What do you believe government would settle on?
None of the above, unfortunately. Why would we come out with an e-levy? Because we need money. But it is not only about the money that government is looking for, but you also have to look at the impact of the digital economy if you have to implement e-levy. For me, the current rate of 1.75 is too high. If government is going to introduce the e-levy, the rate should be around 0.5, at maximum 0.7. Then gradually government will be going into taxing that sector. But at current rate of 1.7%, I think it is too high. Again, on the IMF, why are we going to the IMF? We are going to the IMF for stability. But we know our problem as a country. It's a structural problem that we have to resolve. Ghana, since independence in 1957, we have gone for 16 IMF bailout programs, but the problem has not been solved. We just exited an IMF program in 2019. So what happened between 2019 and 2022? It tells you that it is a structural problem that needs the buy-in of government, the citizenry, the National Development Planning Committee to have a clear plan of where we want to go to as a country. Because the current model we are running, whereby a party will present a manifesto, whether it's going to be challenging for the government to implement, they are going to implement it anyway. And that is where we find ourselves now. We know that some of the policies that we are implementing now, it is costing us so much. But because of the political cost, the government will not want to, scrap those policies or amend it. So I believe that the solution lies in a tripartite meeting whereby we're getting the buy-in of the NDC, the UNPP, and then the National Development Planning Commission. Let's have a clear long-term development plan whereby government will come, government will go, but we are clear in our mind where we want to get to as a country. That is the surest way of solving the structural economic problems that we have in our country.
By a stretch of the meeting, would you say that the happenings in Ukraine and Russia would have any influence on the meeting?
Come again.
I'm asking, will the current happenings between Ukraine and Russia have any influence on this meeting?
Oh, it is all about the crude oil prices. Because once crude oil prices are going up, it is affecting our inflation figures. A key indicator for Ghana's high inflation rate now is transportation, and which boils down to crude oil. But as we see it now, it is not just about the high ex-refinery price of the petroleum products, but also the depreciation of the Ghana cedi as against the major trading currency. So, of course, it's going to come in the argument that we have to solve the problem of having a stable Ghana cedi, whereby we'll be able to show ourselves from the external shock coming from the Ukraine and Russia war.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. I was speaking with Mr. Emmanuel Dakwa, an economist, sharing his thoughts on the Crunch Cabinet meeting on the current state of the economy at Pedrase. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust and the Ghana Education Service have launched the supplementary readers on Social Security for junior and senior high schools in Kumasi. The manual on Social Security aims at deepening students' awareness of Social Security issues as they prepare to enter the labor market. The Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrine, said the supplementary readers manual would enable students to insist on their rights to Social Security in future.
The supplementary readers and teachers manual on Social Security for students and teachers was produced by SNIT in partnership with the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA. The manual is to help students to understand the importance of Social Security contributions for a comfortable future.
They cannot imagine themselves being 60-year-old men and women, 70-year-old men and women. But my dear students, let me tell you that as sure as the sun will rise from the east tomorrow and set in the west, you will grow old and you will retire someday.
A Deputy Minister for Education, Reverend Dr. John Intim-Fojo, said the project will equip about 10 million students with the needed financial literacy to support their future well-being.
This event is going to be the beginning of much assertive and bold initiatives that is going to open the way for us to ensure that some 10 million learners that we have in our schools, both public and private, from kindergarten, primary, JHS, up to SHS, would not only receive education the traditional way, but through the hidden curriculum and even the written curriculum, we will imbibe in our learners the essential social and moral values that is going to long be with them.
SNIT has so far paid 546 million cedis to pensioners under the trust since the year began.
Let me quickly take you to our earlier story where a flag-raising ceremony in commemoration of the 52nd anniversary of the International Day of La Francophonie has taken place in Accra.
It is a historical moment as we host this special event for the first time within the Francophone community in Ghana. I seize this opportunity to express my deepest gratitude to His Excellency the President Nana Akufo-Addo and for the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs for their kind and consistent support for the Francophone community.
In the area of education, Ghana has made massive progress in strengthening the teaching of the French language. Following the signing of the Framework Cooperation Agreement on Teacher Mobility Projects between the Ministry of Education and the OIF, Ghana received 21 experts from OIF member countries who have since been deployed to 6 colleges of education, 10 regional centers of teaching of French, and 5 bilingual schools.
On the interbank markets, the cedi is trading at 7 cedis to the US dollar, to the pound sterling at 9 cedi, 24 pesos. Time to have the figures and also the price of gold, cocoa and crude oil.